Hello everyone and welcome to my Bachelor Nation 24 channel, I hope. Everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Susan Noles dated a man who was almost on Joan Vassos' season of The Golden Bachelorette. Susan dated a guy for 10 minutes who all he did was talk about himself. And I was the one that said, offload him. Co-host Kathy Swartz said on the Wednesday, February 12, episode of the Bachelor Happy Hour podcast. If a guy isn't asking you questions about yourself, if you're not asking him questions, it has to be reciprocal. Noles, 67, explained that she gave the man the benefit of the doubt the first time they spoke on the phone and wondered if he was nervous. But by the third phone call, I knew his life story, what he drove, Noles said. He was supposed to be on Joan's season. It was a lot. In response, Swartz, 71, quipped, Susan couldn't even do our podcast because she was very busy writing his biography. She had no time. Bachelor Nation met Noles when she vied for the affections of Jerry Turner, alongside Vassos, 62, on Season 1 of The Golden Bachelor, which aired in 2023. Turner, 72, ultimately popped the question to Theresa Nist, whom he tied the knot with in 2024. But the pair split months later. Vassos was later named the lead of The Golden Bachelorette, where she accepted a proposal from Chalk Chapel in the Season 1 finale. Following her stint on the ABC reality dating show, Noles has been candid about her dating life and sparked romance rumors with the Golden Bachelorette contestant Jacqueline Choney. God bless Jack, Noles said on a January episode of iHeartRadio's I Do, Part 2 podcast. The world thought, Susan and Jack. Jack likes to cook like I do. We did meet, and he'd be a great friend. Amid the speculation, Noles set the record straight on where her relationship with Len Choney stands, and denied rumors that the pair was romantic. We're both loud, and we're both Italian, and we both like to cook. And we're both funny at times, she said. Two of the same as me, maybe not so good. As she continues to try to find love, Noles said she wouldn't rule out the possibility of appearing on a golden spin-off of Bachelor in Paradise. Rumor has it they're thinking about some golden paradise, and the first thing I said was, we're not going to Mexico with bugs and no air conditioning. It's not going to work at our age, Noles joked, before saying she'd be open to participating on the show. Susan Noles had always been the kind of woman who could light up a room with her presence. A true Southern belle with a heart of gold and a charm that could disarm even the most skeptical of men. She had made quite the impression on The Golden Bachelor. Though her journey on the show didn't end with a ring, it certainly didn't mean her love story was over. In the months following her time on the show, Susan found herself enjoying the unexpected fame that came with being part of Bachelor Nation. Invitations to exclusive events, podcast appearances, and even a few whispers about possible spin-offs kept her schedule busy. But in the midst of all the excitement, there was something, or rather, someone, who had captured her attention in a way she hadn't expected. His name was Richard Langley, a charismatic and well-dressed gentleman who had nearly been cast for Joan Vassos' season of The Golden Bachelorette. The two had met at a charity gala in Atlanta, where Susan was the guest of honor. Richard had introduced himself with a warm handshake and an easy smile, the kind that made you feel like you'd known him for years. Richard Langley, he said, his voice smooth as Tennessee whiskey. I think you might have just stolen all the attention from the actual guest of honor. Susan chuckled, flipping her signature blonde waves over her shoulder. Well, Richard Langley, I think you might be a charmer. As the night went on, Susan found herself drawn to Richard's effortless confidence. He was a retired businessman with a love for travel, fine wine, and ballroom dancing, qualities that intrigued her. But what truly piqued her interest was when he casually mentioned that he had been one of the final candidates for The Golden Bachelorette. They flew me out for interviews, he admitted with a grin. I met with the producers, did the whole casting process. But at the last minute, they went in a different direction. Susan's eyes widened. You mean to tell me you were almost on Joan's season? He nodded. Guess the universe had other plans. Maybe it was saving me for you instead. It was a bold statement, one that might have made another woman blush. But Susan wasn't just any woman. She met his confidence with her own, offering him a playful smile in return. Well, Richard, if the universe is setting us up, who am I to argue? From that moment on, the two were inseparable. Richard wasn't just another charming man in a suit. He was thoughtful, attentive, and had an uncanny ability to make Susan laugh until her sides hurt. Their dates were a whirlwind of adventure, from private cooking classes in Napa Valley to spontaneous road trips along the East Coast. But as with any romance, there were complications. The moment word got out that Susan was dating someone who had nearly been a contestant on The Golden Bachelorette, Bachelor Nation was buzzing. Fans speculated about what might have been if Richard had been cast. Would he have made it far with Joan? Would Susan have been cheering him on from the sidelines, unaware of what the future held? The gossip didn't faze Susan, though. If anything, she found it amusing. Let him talk, she told Richard over brunch one morning. The only thing that matters is us. Richard admired that about her. Her ability to take everything in stride, to laugh at the chaos instead of letting it consume her. He often told her she had a rare kind of magic, the kind that made people feel at ease in her presence. But despite their undeniable chemistry, there was still one lingering question neither had addressed. Was Susan ready to take a chance on love again? She had come so close before, had opened her heart only to see it walk away with someone else. And while Richard was different, steady, unwavering, there was always that little voice in the back of her mind whispering, what if? One evening, as they strolled hand in hand through Charleston's historic district, Richard stopped in front of a small antique shop. I have something for you, he said, reaching into his pocket. Susan raised a curious brow. What is it? He pulled out a delicate locket, its gold surface glinting in the soft glow of the streetlights. Open it. Inside was a tiny, folded note. Susan carefully unfolded it, her heart skipping a beat as she read the words inside. No what-ifs, just us. For the first time in a long time, Susan felt the weight of hesitation lift from her shoulders. She looked up at Richard, seeing not just a man who had once been nearly cast for a reality show, but a man who was standing right in front of her, choosing her, not by chance, but by choice. She smiled, tucking the locket close to her heart. No what-ifs, she agreed. Just us. And with that, Susan Noles, the woman who had once searched for love on national television, found it in the most unexpected of places, not in front of cameras or rose ceremonies, but in the quiet certainty of a man who was meant to be hers all along.